All right, let's talk about a quick update on this Bitcoin pump. We covered most of this earlier. If you missed any of it, you can find these other videos that'll catch you up. But moving into where we're at right now is we broke through all these levels just one after another that were resistance prior. There's a lot of momentum, and obviously a lot of this is probably a short squeeze. You got shorts that just keep getting squeezed out, and that's helping provide extra fuel to rocket this thing up out of here. We're now getting up to a point that we're back to levels that we know that we've got more overhead resistance if you look back in the past. And if we can get through here, then you've definitely got resistance, right here at the, call it the 20,450 level or something like that. But this is where we have not been able to get through throughout the rest of this month. And it's also shown confluence with resistance, as well as having trouble staying above it even when it rips up in the past going into last month. So looking forward to here, don't expect just because you're ripping right now that these levels won't matter. They will. And if it was once support, it's now resistance, and vice versa. So as of right now, what we're playing with is we're trying to figure out if we're going to be able to stay up in this area and turn 19,350 back into support. It was really strong resistance all through last weekend and all through the beginning of this week. We've now got through it. We printed some candles on it exactly how we like to see. And what we tell people is to look for confluence, that it's printing candles and your bodies are above it. Sometimes you'll get the wicks below it, but as long as the bodies are above it, you're good. There's so much momentum in this one that even the wicks are just touching it, the bodies are above it. However, as we came up, these other levels, they are of importance, even though they're just lines drawn on the screen, they are of importance. You wicked right into this level and got rejection. Now we're trying to print again and trying to see if we can push up. We're on a 1 hour time frame. We can go ahead and zoom in on a lower time frame for people really scalping and trading and get an even better look at this. You can see even more confluence with this 19,000 325 350 range for support. I mean, the support's actually right at 325 and, is bouncing up in these areas. So you've wicked into it a couple times. You've printed some candles on top of it. You're holding right here. It's showing confluence. And, this is where we're at. Hopefully, if we get rejected here and we come down, we can continue to hold as a support. This would be a good opportunity for someone who's looking for a scalp trade to start, buying in right here and expect at least a temporary bounce. If you wanted to front run it from both ways because you're someone who feels like, well, whenever I wait for it to come down here, I feel like I don't actually get it, you could look for it to come down at least to, right above to this top line. So instead of trying to get the 19,325 or 350 buy, you could look for the 19,450 buy and then just sell it early, front run the sell as well, and sell at 19,726, or try to see if it rides back up into this range and know that this is, currently your resistance. It has been resistance in the past, and further back than that, it has been support when everyone thought we wouldn't go below 20 once we got back above that. So it is an important line, not just because of history, but also because of a psychological level. It's the 20,000 level, and so many people feel like buying Bitcoin below 20,000, that's great. Whereas, vice versa, you've got the bears will step in and figure we're going to protect that and keep it below that. So they're going to continue buying when you get up near the 20,000 and sell it off to try to push you back down. So these are your important levels you want to, pay attention to. But before you get, too carried away with your ideas of where you're going and how long your horizon is on trading this, if you're trying to swing trade it, day trade it, whatever you're trying to do, if you're just buying it for later, that's fine. You just keep dollar cost averaging and looking towards the future. But if you're swing trading this or day trading, hour trading, whatever you're trying to do right here on a shorter time frame, realize that if you're going to stay up tonight trading this, these are your levels of importance to pay attention to, as well as remember that when the markets get ready to open on the American markets, so I don't know if you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or if you're trading in another country or somewhere else, pay attention to our markets, because when the New York Stock Exchange gets ready to open in the morning, and knowing that we've got Fed meetings and core inflation CPI coming in, you're going to get a reaction from that. And the fear of that, especially after the kind of just mad pump the entire market's had today, the fear of that is most likely going to have people selling off pre-market and then a dump pre-market and then possibly a buy. So even if you come in and the futures are strong and then the market starts pumping in the beginning, you still got to watch the levels. If you jump over to the S&P, we start running all the way back up to resistance again, somewhere in the 37 to 3800 range, depending on what your overall expectations are. So, once again, the same way when things are just going down and you're looking for a relief rally, because things don't just move in one direction. Well, same thing with going up. They're not going to just keep going up and up and up and up, especially, without a narrative and especially without the money printer running. So if you're trading this, pay attention to level by level what's important and what matters, and have realistic expectations with your goals and have a plan. Don't just be buying and selling. I mean, I guess that works for some people, but at least know what you're looking for. I mean, if it's going to lose a level, have an idea in your mind. Where's it going to? Where's it going to, bounce to next? And then try to be there to load up and front run that. And then you're ahead of the bounce, or you dollar cost into that area. And when you get the bounce, now you're instantly positive. That's what you got to pay attention to. And if you have any specific questions about certain time frames, or a certain time horizon, you're like, hey, I'm looking at doing this for 3 months, 6 months, or I need to know what I should be doing in a year or whatever. I'm happy to try to do a specific video or some specific charting to show you whatever it is that helps you, or answer whatever questions I can, if I can just answer them in the comments. So if you have any questions, let me know. And I hope this has been helpful to somebody who's maybe not into technical analysis, and you're just kind of buying and selling on your phone on Robinhood or something, and you don't have very detailed charts. You're not really sure what you're looking at with the levels. These are your levels. These are the things that you can pay attention to. These are your supports. Now at this point, if you get below them, there'll be resistance. These are your current overhead resistance. And if you get through this level, this is the next one. This question marks here to let you know I'm not sure if this will hold when you come back down here, depending on how much selling pressure is coming down and what's going on. If it's happening tomorrow morning when the markets are crashing, then good chance you just melt right through a few of these like they're not even there. If you're trading this throughout the evening, then these should definitely work for you to some degree. If you get up above this hammer, you start bouncing and printing candles up here right above you, this is your next resistance. Basically, you go from 20,000 to 20,500. There's not a lot other than psychological in between here. And if you do get up here and start printing, I would expect that you can come up and see this level next, a whole $500 move. So most importantly, remember, we're in a down market, we're in a downward trend, and we're in a bear market. So, this is most likely just a relief rally. And all of this momentum came from the bounce that came out of the stock market when it became so extremely oversold this morning. And that's not to say that tomorrow it can't go right back to that oversold. And then you get those bounces in between. The fact that we got one this morning, you could run all the way down to tomorrow and then not get one. Maybe it exhausted all of the buying power that the bulls had ready. So, you can exhaust the buying, you can exhaust the selling. So always pay attention to your support and resistance lines going both ways. But more importantly, also pay attention to your narrative. What's going on in the overall markets, what's going on in the global economy, what's going on, that's controlling these movements. What's the dollar doing? If the dollar's going up and the Dixie, as they call it, the DXY, if that chart's running up and the power of the dollar is going up, then risk assets go down. So crypto, Bitcoin, the overall stock market right now, typically it's more of the tech sector. But considering we're also fighting inflation right now, the more the dollar goes up, it brings down the entire S&P 500, the entire NASDAQ. Pretty much all stocks are crashing if the dollar is going up at this point, because they're all getting treated like risk assets based on the fact of high inflation, and inflation will hurt all the companies all the way around. So I hope that was helpful to somebody. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.